Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Matt Green. My co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how are we doing today? Oh man, we having technical difficulties here, or is that on my end? Oh man, terrible start here. Let's hold on one second here, folks. I think we're having some technical difficulties. Let me see here. What's up, man? Did I lose?
Okay, what's up? There we go. There we go.
I was the
Yeah.
one with some internet issues today. I was like, "Oh no, I hope that's not my end. I have it over here having issues." But how you doing, sir?
Doing good. Doing good. How hated to miss the show last week, but I was driving back from Starkville that night right after the game. So yeah, I appreciate you for holding it down and keeping the people informed. But yeah, how are you?
For sure, man. I'm glad to see you picking up on my green theme over here.
Oh yeah,
We're a green dog show tonight.
yeah.
But yeah, man, it was just a quick instant reaction. It was nice to see Georgia, have an easier game on Saturday. I was fully prepared for another 4-quarter game that I did think Georgia would cover, but I definitely did not expect, 38 unanswered, whatever it was from like the halfway through the first to the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, you were the one that was there. Let me know, how did it go, man? How was Starkville? What were your thoughts of the game? Wherever you want to start.
Yeah, Starfall's cool. I mean, it's it's pretty much what you would expect out of an SEC town in Mississippi. It might not be, people don't talk about it the same way that they talk about Oxford or Knoxville or what have you, but it's got a lot of charm to it, and you can tell the people there really love their team. So I had a good time there, but yeah, the game itself was awesome. It was I was kind of with you. I didn't really think that this was going to be a blowout game for Georgia. I thought that it was going to be another 4-quarter game when they were going to have to win it in the last few minutes of the game, but that wasn't the case. I mean, that was really dominant after the first drive of the game where they gave up that touchdown. They just boat raced them, man. 38 unanswered points. Huge game out of Nate Frazier, best game of his career as a Bulldog. The pass rush was really good. They had Shapen on the ground all afternoon. So, yeah, I think that's exactly the kind of win that you would want to see from this team as a Georgia fan, and gives you a lot of confidence going into this Texas game.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think as excited as we all were when Chauncey Bowen started to break out early in the season, and Frazier, especially specifically that Alabama game, Frazier fumbled and then Bowen's kind of emerged. It's like I think everyone was just ready to just throw out Nate Frazier, but I felt like I was sitting here still in Nate Frazier camp, like, no, it's awesome that Bowens maybe can be RB1, but we're gonna need Nate Frazier for this season if this team is gonna be dynamic. We got to have multiple backs back there. So to see Nate Frazier go off the way he did, I don't know if you feel the same way, but as good as Bowens has been, and I think I trust him more just because of the fumbles that Frazier's had at times, you can see that Nate Frazier's different. Like, he moves with a different explosion. Like, you can see, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the 5-star. Like, you can see like what scouts saw with the way that guy moves, the way he hits when he hits a hole. He really showed it off multiple times on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's always been the guy with the highest ceiling in the room. Just, yeah, the way that he hits some of those holes, the burst and the explosiveness that he has, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, he's definitely the guy that I think can be the most, transformative talent in that room. Obviously, Bowens has been great this year. He burst on the scene and has really had some huge games and some huge moments for this team. But yeah, Saturday, I think you saw everything that Nate Frazier could be was out there. I mean, he was just running hard. He was hitting the holes with at 100 miles an hour, and I thought he also was really nice between the tackles, and he really had some nice contact balance and finished off some runs as well. I mean, even on the last touchdown, he had to break that tackle from the safety and keep his balance and get in the end zone. Like, he can really be a complete back this year. He's shown flashes as a receiver out of the backfield. Like, man, if he can really clean up that fumble issue and become, an every down back, or he doesn't even need to be an every down back because they have other great running backs, but he really does look like an NFL talent at that position. And man, yeah, he's explosive. He might be the most explosive Georgia running back that we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah, I think so. Just the way that he gets to, like, how quickly he gets to that top gear, like, I don't know. That's a good call because it's like obviously someone like James Cook definitely had that acceleration ability. Kenny McIntosh was more wiggle, didn't have that same
Yeah.
just like explosion that Frazier. There you go. That Frazier had. I know there was some DeAndre Swift comparisons after that Clemson game. He looked good. I was always hesitant to throw out the DeAndre Swift comparisons. I was like, I don't know. DeAndre Swift, he was pretty elite, especially like both we're talking about, like that straight line speed and the wiggle. I mean, DeAndre Swift's that dead leg is second to none in terms of making you miss.
Yeah, absolutely. Swift was probably a bit. I mean, there was really nobody like Swift in the open field for sure, but I don't know if anybody hits 0 to 60 quicker than Nate Frazier. I mean, he just hits the hole like that, and that's just hard to stop, man. That is unteachable levels of just burst and acceleration. And he like I said, I mean, he by far I think has the highest ceiling of anybody in that room. Phillips has a pretty similar explosiveness to him, but Frazier has the size. He's quicker than Bowens. He can be a more versatile threat out of the backfield. Like, if he really does turn a corner, if this game turns out to not be a fluke, and we have Frazier, starting to peak at the right time, we have the offensive line finally getting healthy. Bowens is still there as a legitimate SEC starter and a really good player for you. Like, this could be one of, like, they've been saying all offseason that they were, putting a renewed focus on the running game, and we've seen that. They've been able to run the ball well, but, the offensive line hasn't been healthy all the way. And Frazier, had the fumble against Alabama and he got benched and he didn't really play much the next few games. But it really seems like now it's all coming together, between the running backs and the linemen and the threat that Gunnar Stockton adds on the ground. And, man, this has already been a really productive and effective Georgia rushing attack, but they're really putting the pieces together now. And I think that's really scary that this group could really hit another level from what they've been doing this year.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And I honestly, not to catch any strays over here or anything, but I'm kind of confused when Dwight Phillips comes in the game and gets carries, to be honest. Like, I'm not sure what he adds. Like, I obviously know he's a speed guy, but is he really more explosive than Frazier? Or, I mean, even Chauncey Bowens? Like, I mean, maybe you're just giving a guy a rest, spelling him for a little bit, but I don't know. I'm surprised to see Dwight Phillips kind of get more carries than Josh McCray, other than just like goal line, short yardage carries. It's really the only time Josh McCray is used at all.
Yeah, I mean, they're like McCray has a very clear role in the backfield as, the short yardage big back, and they do a lot of stuff with that, because you can give it to him. They use him as like a fullback sometimes. I've seen them do that before.
Yeah.
And just, his presence on the field kind of screams run. So therefore, you can run some play action stuff on top of that and catch the defense slipping. I think there's still a role for Phillips just as a smaller, kind of change of pace scat back. And Kirby Smart said after the game, he's like, we got to do better by Dwight because we got him some carries where, a guy missed the block and he didn't get as much as he should have. But I think they still think highly of Phillips, and I still think that he can be that kind of guy that, comes in and just gives you a fresh set of legs and can rip off a run for you. Obviously, if you want to call him kind of like I don't know how to say this, just just a smaller version of Frazier, just Frazier without the size and maybe without some of the strength. I guess you can kind of do that. And maybe
Diet Frazier.
yeah, maybe their skill sets are a little bit redundant, but I don't know. I'm a big Dwight Phillips guy. I think he's definitely slotted in at like 4th in this pecking order. I don't think anybody's going to be debating against that right now. But man, I think it's so big that Georgia has this just stable of running backs that each have styles that complement one another. You know, you can just kind of sub them in and out. You got different guys for different situations that you can really rely on. That's a huge deal. And like I said, now that the offensive line is healthy, I really only think this running attack is going to get better.
That's fair, and I'm forgetting his early couple games too. That Dwight Phillips was one of the more productive backs Georgia had in those first 2 games. Also can't forget Cash Jones, who's probably got the 3rd most snap count, I would guess, as among those running backs, but it's basically in pass protection and catching the ball in the backfield. At least that's when it works best. We'll put it that way. But yeah, I'm glad you said the offensive line, because I kind of think nationally the offensive line is kind of being overlooked of how good they've like truly been. Like Dontrell Glover is just a straight up stud as a true freshman. Yeah. Drew Bobo has been really good, and he left the game versus Mississippi State, and sounds like he should be good to go for Saturday in Texas. Same with Lawson Lucky. I don't know if he's as obvious that he's playing as Bobo is, but it sounds like both of them should be good to go. But yeah, since Ernest Green got back in this lineup, and you're kind of seeing, you know, I feel like that's what Georgia wants to do. It seems like they want to have 3 guys for both tackle spots, 3 guys for both guard spots, just in an ideal scenario. And you're kind of seeing that with Gaston and along with Freeling and Ernest Green. Like Freeling, obviously he's getting some love because that Auburn game is SEC Lineman of the Week, but I don't know that Ernest Green's getting as much credit for how good he's been and how much this has solidified the offensive line. Like this guy's been battling injuries the last year and a half or so, and this Georgia offensive line looks really good and just really experienced through this point in the season.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the turning point for that line, right? Is when Ernest Green came back healthy and started really locking down the right side of that line, because that was the big thing, you know, going into the Ole Miss game or around mid-October, early October. It was like the right side of Georgia's offensive line is not very good. You know, that was a huge issue. That the protection there wasn't great. They weren't running to that side very well. But Green came back and has really held it down over there. And I think that's made all the difference. You know, them flipping Freeling and Green across the field. And that was an interesting move before the year. It was kind of like, what do they know about that? What do they know? You know, what are they building in there? But yeah, I agree. I think Green has probably not gotten the credit he deserves when he comes back, just because it's hard, you know, for the national media picks like 3 offensive linemen every year to make into household names, and they kind of forget about the rest. And I guess there's something to be said about why they do that. I understand it's not a very sexy position, but yeah, this looks like, you know, for all the dysfunction that the offensive line had last year and all the injuries they had last year and everything they had the first half of this year, they had a different lineup in the first 5 games of the season. Like, that's crazy. And that is going to prevent you from ever developing chemistry together and overall just a sense of togetherness as a group. And it really looks like they're starting to get that. And the guys they have are so talented. The freshmen are crazy, like you said. I mean, Glover and Gaston have both just been animals, and it's just a great group up front. I don't know what else you can say.
For sure. I'm not sure either of us gave enough credence to the fact that the center is clearly the son of a football coach, a very seasoned SEC football coach. And I think he's shown like that offensive line has been working. Was there a bad snap last week or versus Florida? I think there may have been a bad snap.
Yeah,
that's the only one I can remember all season. But yeah, I think it's I thought you were going to hit me with a what do you know about Ray Finkel there for a second with that tone you took, but soccer style kicker, whatever that rest of that line is. What were your overall thoughts of the fan base in Starkville? Were there any dogs talk? Like, are they trying to use the DAWG in Mississippi State? I know
No,
Washington is trying to use that. Is Mississippi State? Are they're not using that, right?
I didn't see it anywhere. All I saw was Bulldogs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hail
I
State, I guess that's their
yeah,
thing.
Hail State is their big slogan, I guess you would say. No, Mississippi State fans, I found them to be very nice people, very pleasant folk. You know, me and my buddies, we sat behind a nice couple who were or Mississippi State fans, and they were very cool. Had a good time with them. We all bought cowbells and started like just ringing them incessantly whenever Georgia would score. So that was kind of fun to do. But no,
All right.
Starkville's a nice town, and they got a good fan base. You know, they've been through a lot with that football program, and they stick with them.
I'll be honest, man. You just blew my mind right there. I don't think it's ever occurred to me that anyone could use the cowbells against them.
Oh yeah,
Was there a bunch of Georgia cowbells in the
I
house?
I didn't see it like a bunch of them, but I did kind of have that thought. Like it's got to be really annoying. Like whenever you lose, which let's be honest, Mississippi State has been doing a lot of losing lately. Like whenever you lose at home, the other fans are going to do that, and it probably is really annoying. So I don't know. Maybe it's not some like widespread thing, but I kind of feel like it is. When teams beat the Steelers, they wave terrible towels. So I feel like it's the same thing.
Yeah, they absolutely should. But yeah, this Mississippi State team has been a lot more respectable this year. But like, I think every SEC opponent to this point had over 400 yards of offense against them. However, none of those teams had 500 yards of offense. So what was it? A&M was the most of 479. So Georgia putting up almost 100 more yards than the number 3 team in the country did against Mississippi State. Definitely just a good performance all around. I will say, and I said this kind of on the post game, great to see. I can't be picky at this point. Great to see Georgia getting pressure on the quarterback. But the fact that it has to be Raylan Wilson or CJ Allen every time this defense makes a play is still concerning to me. I know these guys make plays, but I would love to see a defensive lineman, an edge rusher, just beat his guy and get a sack every once in a while and let us not have to bring 5, bring 6 in order to get pressure.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's something that's just like not really going to change much. I mean, you and I have kind of lamented this all year. Like Georgia doesn't really have edge rushers, I feel like, where they can, feel good about just sending 4 and getting pressure that way. And you're going to have to design blitzes, to get home. And to their credit, give Schumann credit and give the players in the field credit for executing. Like they did that, they sacked Blake Shapen 3 times, and
absolutely. And Quintavious Johnson and Christian Miller did get on the act as well.
They did. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, I mean, there's nobody that you can point to and say, oh, that's a first round pick. He's going to abuse his man. He's going to win 15% of the time and get, 60 pressures in the season or whatever. That's just like, they don't have a guy like that. And that's probably going to be their Achilles heel as a defense. But I think you kind of saw their blueprint for today, for the season in that Mississippi State game, which is just, if we can really win on early downs and force you into 2nd and longs and 3rd and longs, we still feel good about our personnel there. They're not going to be like a sack machine or a turnover machine, but like if they can just kind of keep you from hitting explosive plays and keep you in situations that make you one-dimensional and make you not, really be able to call your best stuff, like they still feel good about the athletes they have there and they can win that way. It's obviously not the most exciting way to play defense, and it also has kind of gotten them into trouble this year. Obviously, there was that disaster of a Tennessee game, and obviously in the first 5 drives against Ole Miss. But I kind of think the secondary is starting to play a lot better. I just think they've been more sticky in coverage lately, and that's going to help out the pass rush. The quarterback is going to have to hold it for maybe an extra half second longer or whatever because that guy is there, and maybe that's their best hope is generating coverage sacks and things like that. Because again, I just don't think this is some kind of junkyard dogs defensive line where we're just going to be more man than you and just win that way. It's going to take a little bit more creativity and maybe a little bit more finagling from Glenn Schumann, which that's just the way it is with this team.
Yeah, for sure. And this Mississippi State offense has had some good, performances this year. So the fact that this just is what it is. Georgia's going to give up 14 plays, 75-yard drives to start every game. That's just what we're going to do apparently. But there is something to be said for this team has not given up a lot of big plays defensively. Like, it's really frustrating to watch a team have the ball for 7-8 minutes and go 10 to 15 plays, 70, 80 yards on you. But man, it's a whole lot worse when they just one for 80 is a lot worse than making someone work for it. So there is something to be said for that. Although Georgia's offense being on the field isn't a terrible thing, but yeah, this Mississippi State offense has been pretty good throughout the year. 38 versus Arkansas, 38 versus Texas, 34 versus Tennessee. Not Arkansas, Tennessee, not two of the better defenses in the SEC this year, but this is one of their lower point totals. So at home, it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe people are going to already be kind of retroactive, like, well, they blew out Mississippi State. Who cares? But it's a pretty good Mississippi State team, man. It's the best Mississippi State team there's been in years, and they've been in some close games against some really good teams. And like you said, they put up 38 points against Texas. It's not bad offense at all. It's not like I would give you like the Kentucky game, for example. Georgia held Kentucky to 14 points. There is kind of a factor there of like, yeah, big whoop, it's Kentucky, but yeah, I don't really think you can do that with Mississippi State. I think that is an impressive win and something that you beat those guys wire to wire. That's impressive, especially after last season when Mississippi State was even worse, or not even worse. They were just straight up bad. This year they're not bad, and Georgia had trouble with them in that game. So didn't see that this year, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. And Thomas T-Bone tuning in. Go Dogs. Appreciate you watching live. We are going to get our folks at Texas Voice of College Football are going to join our show today here in a little bit. Matthew Miller from Texas Voice of College Football is going to join us. But before we get into that, sir, I got a Heisman blind resume activity I want to share with you, sir. And I'm sure all the Georgia fans can already sense where I'm going with this because we're Georgia fans and we like to stand up for our guys here. So this is a lot of numbers here on the screen. You don't have to read through all of that right now, but right. So On3 released like their top 10 like Heisman rankings basically. And I was looking through it and, one guy who we'll mention was not on their list of the top 10. So I decided to look at all the quarterbacks that they had in their top 10 and let's stack them all up against each other. Is there a guy who stands out right here on this list, sir? Just quickly looking at these stats, I got the passing yards, the touchdowns, the picks, completion percentage, and the rushing production. Obviously, not every guy's a running quarterback, so you can see some different production there. And then also their team's record. Is there anyone who stands out right here? Is like that's the guy. That's the Heisman winner.
Yeah, right now probably the guy that has 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns to 1 pick, 7-0 record, 80% completion percentage. I know that's the lowest rushing production on the list, but I've got a suspicion that could be number 15. Wait, no, it's not number 15 for the Crimson Tide because they lost, but I don't know. Whoever that is, that's a pretty good resume. So that one stands out a lot. And
that's not a bad one.
But yeah, I mean, these are all some pretty good stat lines.
You see the dual threat guy over there, 700 yards, 13 touchdowns. Like 2 picks. That's not bad at all.
That's not bad.
So let's reveal. These are who the candidates are right here, sir. So the guy you voted for was Julian Sayin.
Okay.
And yeah, he's had a great season to this point. Fernando Mendoza there, 17-5. Ty Simpson, 18-1. Those are also the 3 pocket passers. So let me do one more. There we go. Let's gray those out. So let's take Mendoza, Simpson, and Sayin off the board, sir.
Why?
So that leaves us with Marcel Reed because we're going to just compare these dual threat quarterbacks.
Okay.
That leaves us with Marcel Reed, Diego Pavia, Haynes King, Dante Moore, and Gunnar Stockton. Which Dante Moore, maybe I should take him off. Not necessarily a dual threat. Not doing too much with his legs this year.
Yeah.
But it's already done. So this is who we got on the list, right? I'm kind of shocked at, so as you might guess on this list, Gunnar Stockton did not make this list. And if you look at these guys, every team that's ranked in the top 7 has a guy on the top 8 actually, because you go to Jeremiah Love was also on their list. But yeah, every 7 of the top 9 QBs are in this Heisman rankings. Full disclosure, Trinidad Chambliss was on here too, and I didn't have room for him. I probably should have thrown him
That's
on
your
there.
boy.
It's not important. So Trinidad Chambliss is also on here. So basically, the entire list is like everyone in the top like 14's quarterback, other than who, like Texas, Oklahoma, BYU, Texas Tech, and Georgia, and then Notre Dame, and they had a different guy on the list. So I'm just I'm starting to get like dumbfounded, because you look at the touchdowns among these dual threat guys. Gunner's got the most. 13-2 is also the best ratio. Like Marcel Reed, I know he's on an undefeated team. Like you're looking at a 12-6 touchdown to picks, 61% compared to what Gunnar Stockton's done. Like Stockton has kind of been better across the board than Marcel Reed. Like, I mean, statistically, no.
Good. I mean, like, yeah, Gunnar has similar numbers, but I don't know if you can look at those two stat lines and get like Gunner's been more efficient. Like the completion percentage is better, the touchdown interception ratio is better. But I don't know if you can look at that and be like, Gunner's easily better than.
That's fair. And also, I should note this is all stats against.
Yeah, this is ultimate box score watching right here too. Like we've just literally got all these guys raw stats up here, and we're just kind of going off of that. Obviously, the Heisman is about much more than who just throws for the most yards and has the best record. But
that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all these guys have had amazing seasons and deserve to be in the conversation for sure. I don't know. I'm not.
What do you think? What do you think Dante Moore has done that Gunnar Stockton hasn't done this year?
I mean, nothing. That's kind of my point. Like all these guys have had great years, and they've all, led their teams to huge wins. I get Stockton has probably had a better season than Dante Moore, just because Stockton has, 2 big wins over Ole Miss and Tennessee, while Dante Moore, they lost to Penn State, but Georgia lost to Alabama. So it's like,
yeah,
well, you can do that. You can play that game all day.
Yeah, I think Diego Pavia and Haynes King are getting a lot of the intangible love. This is Georgia Tech, this is Vanderbilt, and look what they're doing. I'm just kind of confused that Gunnar Stockton isn't getting like the same amount of love as those guys, because he's kind of playing a similar way. Like I know Georgia's got a better run game, especially than Vanderbilt, because Diego Pavia is like carrying their run game basically. But yeah, Georgia's got a better supporting cast, but like, I don't know, in terms of just kind of the intangible stuff and like the gritty, like winners got like some of those Heisman moments type stuff. Because also we're looking at Haynes King. These are just all, like I said, again, all of these are just their stats versus Power 4 competition. That's stats against a bunch of ACC teams.
Yeah.
Like in Colorado. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't really care. Like Haynes King is a great story. He's a fun guy to watch. But like, I mean, if we're really putting in a Heisman conversation, are we putting Haynes King in over Gunnar Stockton?
I wouldn't. I think Stockton has a better Heisman resume than King this year, just because, the best team, like what Haynes King's Heisman moment is like a game-winning touchdown run against Colorado or whatever. Gunnar Stockton's got a couple moments that are better than that. So I don't know. I mean, this is a Georgia show. Like, we're not going to sit up here and say a bunch of great things about Georgia Tech. So that's just kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But I would say King probably has the weakest resume of anybody on here. Me personally, I think right now the Heisman is a race between Mendoza and Simpson, and then maybe Sayin at 3. Because I just looked at it blindly and was like, that guy's the best one. So yeah, I think your 3 pocket passers on the left are probably your 3 best bets at the Heisman. Although Reed and Stockton and even Pavia, I think could kind of make a push at the end. But I would expect those 3 guys on the left to be the ones who end up going to New York if I had to bet on it right now.
Yeah, and
right.
I think that's fair. I would probably put Dante more, I think, below some of these other guys, because as far as pocket passers go, he just doesn't have the pocket. He doesn't have the passing stats really that some of these other guys have. But it's just maybe it's just me being a sensitive Georgia fan, but just seeing like the top 10 rankings of the Heisman, the number 1 team, Ohio State, has 2 guys on the list, right? Number 2 team, their quarterback's on there. Number 3 team's quarterback. Number 4 team's quarterback. Number 6, 7 team's quarterback. Number 9 team's running back. And we're just going to skip over the Dogs ranked at number 5 with their quarterback, kind of doing the same thing of some of these other teams. It's just maybe I'm just a sensitive Georgia fan over here, but I gotta give love to our guy Gunnar Stockton, and you know, maybe it's for the best. Maybe we don't want that rat poison. Let's just let Gunnar Stockton to continue to go under the radar.
Yeah, that's kind of also my thing too. Is like, if you want to argue that your guy should get more Heisman love, but you also don't think he should win the Heisman, what's the point of even arguing that? So that's kind of where I'm at with Stockton.
That's fair.
Like, yes, do I think that the national media needs to be giving him more praise and more credit for what he's done this year than they've given him? Yes, I do think that. But I also don't think that Gunnar Stockton has like been head and shoulders like the best quarterback in the nation. I think he's been really, really, really good. He's been elite. But I'm not going to sit here and act like, you know, Gunnar Stockton is having this Heisman season and everyone's just ignoring it. But I do think he's probably still a bit slept on. But I think people are coming around on Gunnar, and you know, this weekend will be a big showcase for him.
That's fair. I guess I just wanted to be in the conversation. What is it like? As someone who wants an invite to the party that didn't actually want to go to the party. You know, I didn't want to go. I just wanted the invite.
Yeah,
yeah, that's fair. Also, side note, while we're talking about it, there should be 5 Heisman finalists every year. I'll die on this hill. Like, I don't care if there's years only 3 guys can win or whatever the percentage of votes they got. Like, it's an honor to just be a Heisman finalist. There should be 5 guys every year. That's my grind my gears for the second.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I mean, it's all quarterbacks anyway. You know, it's like they send right now. What they do is they send 3 quarterbacks and then they send the token non-quarterback to be like, look, it's not just a quarterback award. So I don't know. My beef with the Heisman is that it's just turned into what the NFL MVP is, where it's just they just give it to whatever quarterback is having the best year, and I don't like that. We need a defensive player Heisman soon.
Yeah, NFL's definitely gotten that way. Unless you're a quarterback or your name is Jeremiah, you are not on the top 10 Heisman odds right now with Jeremiah Smith, Jeremiah Love, the only 2 non-quarterbacks. But that's all we got for that Heisman talk, sir. Let's get to the main event, sir. We got Matthew Miller here from the Texas voice of college football. Matthew, I appreciate you joining us on our show tonight. Big time game here with Georgia and Texas this week. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I don't know how to feel about this game because obviously 0-2 versus you guys last year. We've been on a roller coaster this whole year. Honestly, it kind of reminds our team this year reminds me of your team last year of just roller coaster week to week of not knowing what to expect. So it's going to be interesting. I have no idea what to expect in this game from Texas.
Yeah, dude, it'll be weird.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, yeah, it'll be a weird one, man. Texas is coming off a bye week is gonna be a huge deal, but it's just a matter of like, are we gonna get the Texas that showed up for the first 3 quarters against Vanderbilt, or you know that last one? That'll be the big thing to look out for, I guess. Oh.
I was seeing if I could play with this thing a little bit. I guess not. I don't know. It's this 3 windows here, but it'll be fine. Yeah, I was kind of going back. I was just trying to look at this point in the season. I think we have enough of a sample size where I can just throw out all of the cupcake games and throw out all those stats and just look at what teams have done versus the SEC. And there's a lot of overlap games. And obviously the transitive property never works in football. But what do we have? Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Florida, 3 different games against with these 2 teams have played with 3 pretty different results, I would say, in those 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, the Florida game was the one where, I mean, we lost. You guys could have lost, but then you dominated both Kentucky and Mississippi State. I was more angry at the Kentucky one. I think Mississippi State, honestly, is a decent football team. So you guys handled them pretty easily. So I was very impressed by that. But yeah, the Kentucky result, that's one that bothers me the most out of anything. I'm really angry that game was as close as it was. The offense was absolutely dreadful that night. And the past month, honestly, they played pretty well other than that game. They played well versus Oklahoma. They played well versus Vanderbilt. They played well versus Mississippi State, especially in the second half. And a lot of that has to do with, Sark finally realized, and we've been calling on the channel for 5 to 6 weeks now, you have to abandon 12 personnel. 12 personnel with Texas on offense does not work at all. There's this crazy stat, not my stat. CJ Vogel of On Texas Football tweeted out. I believe Wisconsin is 131st in the country in yards per play. If Texas just ran 12 personnel the whole game, they would be 132nd in the country with Wisconsin, behind Wisconsin, if they just ran 12 personnel. Out of 11, though, completely different story. They are really good out of 11 personnel, and we saw that in the Vanderbilt game, spreading out to the playmakers, letting them run in space, up-tempo offense. If they stick with that, I think the offense can do a little bit of damage in this game. We'll see if that happens, though.
It was that the difference in the Vanderbilt game? Is that what they were doing? Because I was ready to just sell my Texas stock completely. Like after the Mississippi State game, like you at least had the good fourth quarter. Like I thought that was going to be a blowout, but like you said, Kentucky is just like, that was the one that kind of feels unacceptable because Kentucky didn't really have a pulse to that point in the season. But even, maybe I'm just being a hater here, but I wasn't impressed by the Oklahoma performance either. I feel like John Mateer just played so bad in that game. And obviously you give Texas credit for intercepting him a bunch of times, but I still wasn't impressed by the Texas offense in that game. It felt like all three of those games, it was, what's the guy's name? The punt returner that kind of, yeah, that really, like, I'm not sure they win any of those games without those fourth quarter plays he made. Was the Oklahoma one in the fourth quarter? I feel like that was the one that kind of broke the game open, wasn't it?
Yeah, that pushed it from what we won 23-6, so it pushed it from 17-6 to 23-6.
Okay. But yeah, what was different in the Vanderbilt game than those previous three?
No, that was the difference. And the thing is, this is what scares me because I've seen it. My co-hosts have seen it. That's the thing. It's not just me. My other three co-hosts on the Texas channel have seen it too. Like, we want up tempo. We want 11 personnel. We've been begging for it. And we did that in that game. But the problem is Sark came out after the game and said, someone asked him that question. He's like, well, we were going to go more 12 personnel, but after the first two drives, I'm like, why switch it up if it's not broken? I'm like, dude, it's been broken for like 4 or 5 weeks. Can we just stick with that? And again, when we stick with that, that's what the Mississippi State game was. In the back half of the third quarter, we just went complete 11 personnel, up-tempo offense, and you saw the results. You saw the results in the Vanderbilt game. That's how this team should play. Again, I think Sark that's been the issue I've seen this year is he has this idea of what the team should be, and I agree with him. Like, Arch Manning under center, play action passes deep, probably should be, but you don't have the offensive line for that. He doesn't see the field well when you do that. But guess what? When you put him back in shotgun and run 11 personnel, he's pretty accurate, makes some really good throws, can get the balls out to the playmakers. They can go off. Ryan Wingo, is going crazy the past couple weeks with yards after catch. He has like over 250 yards after the catch the past 2 weeks. So we have to stick with that. If we don't stick with that, this game could get ugly. If we just come out and decide we're going to do 12 personnel with 2 tight ends and, play action and stuff like that, I don't know. It could get pretty bad, in my opinion.
I'll let you chime in here, Bo.
Yeah, it's just Texas. It's like, you've had such an up and down season from Arch. You have we're about a month or so out from the Athletic running that article where they're like, is he the worst player of all time? Is he the biggest failure ever? And
the first bust ever.
Since then, he's back-to-back games over 300 passing yards and everything. And I thought that win over Vanderbilt was, it got a little weird at the end, but that is a top 10 win. I don't know. It's just tough for me because to look at this Texas team and really make any kind of projections, just because it's like this team is just so weird and they come out looking so differently. They look like they definitely turned a corner offensively in these last 2 games. Maybe that Kentucky game was just such rock bottom that they figured something out. But I don't know. I think this is a weird team. These are two teams that kind of like to control the ball and play keep away a little bit, and that I think that should be something to look out for on Saturday as well.
Let me get my
What's your
stats up
biggest
here on the
concern
screen. Go ahead.
for you guys going into this game? Is it your defense or is it your offense? I just outside looking in, I would say it's more your defense. I think your offense has been pretty good this year.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the defense. I think when you think about Georgia, you think about these front sevens that they always have, and every April there's always, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys getting drafted off of that defense. Last year, both of their bookends and Walker and Michael Williams going to be first-round picks, and obviously Texas fans know how good Jalen Walker and Michael Williams were for Georgia. But this year, I don't think Georgia really has anybody on the defensive line, especially that front four, that they feel like can really line up and, win consistently, or, have be a, 15%, 14% win rate, 40 pressure guy, anything like that. There's just not really anybody like that this year for them. And you've seen that. They haven't gotten a lot of pressure. When they do get pressure, it's these blitzes where, they're sending the linebackers, or it'll be like a sim pressure or something like that. So that's the biggest thing for me, is that old Georgia, man ball pass rush. I think that we've gotten so used to these last few years, and, they won 2 national championships with that. That's not really the case with them anymore. And obvious, as much as everyone wants to point the blame at the secondary and everything, I think that's where all of the dysfunction on the defense stems from, is they cannot get pressure with 4. They just can't, and they haven't been able to all year. And that's something I think Texas is going to have to take advantage of. You've got an athletic quarterback in Arch who has been really good this year when he's on the move, and that's going to be what they're going to have to do. You're going to have to get Arch out. You're going to have to get him moving, and he's going to have time to throw. I really do think he will. I know this Texas offensive line has struggled, but you might have a hard time running the ball, but I really think throwing the ball, there will be opportunities.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because this is the second game with the new look offensive line where we put Connor Robertson at center and Cole Hudson at left guard, and then left everyone else at their normal positions. And again, that's something we've been asking for about a month now, but Cole Hudson was hurt, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt with that. But I wanted to go to that earlier. It's going to be interesting because this stat, again, crazy. So versus Vanderbilt, only 6 pressures allowed. That is by far the least in SEC play. Before that, the least before that was 26 versus Mississippi State. So quite a drop down there. This offensive line has been abysmal. I think Arch Manning has gotten way too much blame. I think the play calling has been bad. I think the offensive line has been bad. He is starting to elevate his play, and that's why this team has looked a little bit better. Whereas I think the offensive line has gotten better. Again, it's only one game. That's why I'm interested to see in this game. Not just because Vandy, they have some good players along the defensive line, but they don't have anyone near Georgia's caliber along the defensive line. I know these guys aren't putting up gaudy statistics, but they're 5-star defensive linemen all over that roster. So I'm going to be interested in how they match up versus your guys' defensive line.
Yeah, that'll be the big thing is, like I said, Georgia, I don't think anybody should really be trusting them to get home with 4, but they have been good against the run this year. Both of these teams have been excellent against the run. And I think the big thing for both of these defenses is who can have more success on the early downs and turn the other team into a one-dimensional team. Because Georgia, for all their struggles, Bama game aside, they allow 13th in conversion on third down. So maybe my whole point is disproven by that. But when Georgia's had success on defense this year, it's just been because they've been able to stuff the run on first down and second down and get teams in the third and longs and get off the field that way. That's going to be what they're going to be looking to do to Texas as well, because Texas, has struggled to run the ball this year, and that's just not been their thing this year. I don't think they have a rusher go for 100 yards all season. And so Georgia's going to want to come out and prey on that and force Manning to, really win on pure drop back situations. And that's where we're going to have to just see if Georgia's pass rush can do anything against them. I'm not expecting 7 sacks this year like there were last year, but if they can get 1 or 2, I think that might be maybe not the difference, but that would be that would be a big performance from this Georgia defense. They would
probably match their SEC sack total on the season.
I think it would. Right? They have 7 the whole year. So I don't know. I think that's the thing is whichever team can put more pressure on the quarterback to just convert these impossible situations. How many times can you throw over the middle on 3rd and 10? How many times can you do that? How many times can you roll out and find a guy on the sideline? Like, that's going to be where we're going to have to, that's going to be the difference in this game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy too. So versus Vanderbilt, obviously I didn't think they had any sacks. They might have had one, but versus Florida, Kentucky, and Mississippi State, they set their like high sack game of the year versus Texas. So I mean, you guys can do that, but again, it's a different offensive line. The one in Vandy is going to be the one playing you guys. So we'll see. Again, this to me will let me know if that was for real. What I saw versus Vandy was for real. Versus if it happens versus you guys, then I'll know. Hey, the rest of the season, I kind of expect this from this offensive line, and we'll see. I don't know what to think, but on the other side of the ball, I know what to expect from the defensive line. I think we have the best edge room in the whole country. I think Colin Simmons, got poo-pooed at the beginning of the year because he didn't really do anything versus Ohio State. But ever since then, the guy I think has 7.5 sacks in his past 3 or 4 football games. He's been a menace, an absolute menace. I think he's the 3rd best player in college football, and he needs to show up. Like, he showed up versus every other level of competition other than, in my opinion, the 1%. And I think Georgia's in that 1%. I think it's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State's of the world. You have to show up. You have to get multiple sacks. So I need to see that from him in this football game. I liked what I've seen from Trey Moore. I think Brad Spence is starting to get and play a little bit more. He's played pretty well. Ethan Burke came off his best game versus Vanderbilt. So I trust those guys. I just need them to show up even more in this game.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And these stats on the screen here, just to be clear, these are only against Power 4 competition this season. I think the offensive line for Georgia is, we were actually just talking earlier on the show, that's one of the areas I've really been encouraged by this team lately. And it feels like that is the ultimate X factor if Colin Simmons can just be a game wrecker, because it feels like this Georgia offense, while they've been really good at times, it feels like they have to be on schedule. Like, it feels like one negative play and the drive is over. Like, it's like, it seemed like that Ole Miss game, like Georgia had Ole Miss in like 2nd and 12, like the whole game. And they would just convert. They would either just convert on 2nd down or they'd pick it up on 3rd down every time. But Georgia's ability to run the ball, I just feel like it has to be the difference maker. I feel like, because for one, Texas's run defense has been really good this year. So if Georgia's running the ball, I feel like that's a scenario where Georgia scores 30 or something like that. But you saw the Alabama game is kind of the one game. I wouldn't say the one game because Georgia's won the rushing battle multiple times, but that's been the one game that Georgia just clearly won the run battle, the whatever you want to call that. And Ty Simpson just made it not matter. And it was 13 of 18 on 3rd down? I feel like that number was like 13 of 19. That number was like tattooed in our brain. It was like 13 of 19 on 3rd down. I've never heard of such things. It was like the most 3rd downs Georgia has given up since like 1993 or something like that. It was an insane stat. But like, can Arch Manning do what Ty Simpson is doing? I don't think so. But Arch Manning is a super talented player, and like he is coming into his own. So I felt a lot more confident about the Texas game after the Kentucky and Mississippi State performances. After the Vanderbilt performance, and maybe there's still some people who are like still wait and see because just it's Vanderbilt and you're just mentally trained to not respect that win. But that's a good win. A good team came. And also, maybe this isn't accurate, and correct me if I'm wrong because you're the Texas fan, but I kind of felt like they made it look closer than it was. Obviously, they had the ridiculous comeback, but I feel like Texas was dominating that game for 3 quarters.
No, they definitely weren't. Even like up until the 4 minutes left in the game, 4.5 minutes about that time, Vanderbilt was still down by 17 points in that game. Like, they scored 2 touchdowns in the final 4 minutes to make that a game where we had to survive an onside kick. But they possessed the ball one time the entire game, and it was their first drive where they had a chance to take the lead or tie the game. That's it. So I think, yeah, I agree.
Oh, wow.
I think we dominated that football game. They had like 170 total yards of offense through 3 quarters in that game. We had over 400. So yeah, we were dominating that game. It's one of those things that's super frustrating with this team. And I always have to remind myself, this is a super young football team. And I think a lot of that has to do with like Mississippi State and Kentucky. Those are the road struggles you see. That's another reason this game concerns me, because our best games have come at home. We've looked the best when we're at home, and we haven't been at home very much this year. When we go on the road, we haven't looked good. We didn't look good versus Ohio State. That was the first game, and Arch looked god off in that football game. So maybe you throw that one out, but he hasn't looked good in the Florida game. He hasn't looked good in the Kentucky game. He looked good in the Mississippi State game, but as a team, as a whole, they haven't looked good in any of the games on the road. So that worries me in this football game.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia has lost one game at Sanford since 2019, and it was to the team that always beats them. So that's definitely a factor going into this one. Yeah, it's going to be an insane environment. I mean, especially considering what happened last year with the infamous water bottle throwing incident and everything. Like, we've seen this environment get raucous before, or whatever you want to say, and I think that's going to be a thing to say again. But I don't want to overplay the road matchup thing, because the last time we did that was the Alabama game, and that was like, oh, Alabama's played Georgia so many times, but they struggled on the road. They lost to Florida State. They lost to Oklahoma and Vanderbilt on the road last year. They've never actually come to Athens, and it didn't really end up mattering because Alabama just came in there and they outplayed them. So it's definitely possible to beat this team at home, and I think the way that you do that is you just wear out that defense and you just keep them on the field, which is what Alabama was so good at doing. And it'll be tougher for Texas to do that with their struggles running the ball, but I kind of think there's a way to do it with Manning, because as much as, the Manning conversation this year has been just so messed up, I don't even want to talk about it. But Manning is a really good athlete, and that kid can scoot around, and he can really make some plays outside of the pocket. And when you've seen Georgia struggle against quarterbacks this year, Ty Simpson, yes, carved them up, but that's Ty Simpson being Ty Simpson. But the other ones, who really gave Georgia a lot of problems were Joey Aguilar, Trinidad Chambliss, and even last week when he came in, Kamario Taylor from Mississippi State. Those are all guys that can really move around and really add that extra element that you have to worry about as a quarterback in the run game. And I think that is Texas is going to have to turn that into kind of their superpower. Is Manning is just going to have to give these guys fits with his legs. I think that's really where they can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've been calling for about 8 to 10, just design quarterback runs a game from him. Didn't really do it in Vandy. Didn't have to do it, though. It's going to be interesting if Sark, actually does have some preparation in this game for that, because it's one of those things, again, where he says, we don't major in the quarterback run game. I'm not going to say you have to major in the quarterback run game in this game, but you're going to have to minor. You're going to have to get 8 to 10 just design pure runs for Arch Manning. Some read options, stuff like that, some quarterback power. We've seen that once in a while. Quarterback counter, I'd like to see him throw in there. I think that would work pretty well. I don't think you have to go full Haynes King where you're running him downhill 25 times a game, but I would like to see 8 to 10 design runs from him in this game.
Maybe take QB run game as an elective or something, just to keep the keep the analogy going.
Certificate in it.
Yeah, certification. Also, we've gotten this far in the conversation. I feel obligated to remember the Longhorn beater himself, Dalen Everett, who just basically had his 2 best games of his career against Texas a year ago. But if you see on the stats there, head-to-head, Kirby is 2-1 against Texas, even though, Georgia didn't care about that 2018 Sugar Bowl. We all know that. We weren't motivated for that game. Sam Ellinger and Tom Herman in the gang. But they are 2-0 against Steve Sarkisian. So from a Texas fan perspective, also because of how those games happened a year ago, in a year where it didn't feel like Georgia was that good, it definitely didn't seem like the defense was that good. That performance they had in Austin was just kind of an aberration at the end of the season. Is the Texas vibe that Georgia dominates them, or are they not? Are they just still like, okay, it's 2 games, but it's not. We're not to that level yet.
I would say it's split. The first game, I definitely felt that way, just because, you guys destroyed us, especially in the first half. It was a complete domination. We had 7 yards of total offense at halftime or something crazy like that. So that game was just a pure, the second game, I'm going to be honest, I thought we should have won that football game. That game pisses me off still, the SEC championship game. Bird Auburn missing all those field goals in that game and all these opportunities that you have. And it was tied 3-3 at halftime. I knew it was over then because we dominated the first half. I think we tripled you up in yards, and it was 3-3. I was like, oh, well, we're not winning this football game. That's not going to happen. You can't give a team like that a bad half like that and only be tied 3-3. So I think it's a combination of both. You look at that game in Austin, pure domination, just for a whole half and even game. And then the other game, you guys still beat us and we played better than you. So it's like, what do we have to do to beat them? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's interesting, too, because I do think Georgia's the better football team in this game. But I thought Texas was the better football team last year. You guys beat us twice. So I think it's just going to be a very interesting and weird football game, honestly.
Yeah, and you might know the name of the guy since you're the Texas fan, but on that Gunnar Stockton interception, I mean, that could have been like one of like the plays that like one of the most memorable plays in college football history. If Georgia loses a game like that, an 80-yard pick six or whatever with like a minute left in a game you're up by 3.
It was Jalen Gilba, who, by the way, is the weak point of this Texas defense. So if you want to attack someone, attack him. He's bad. He should be benched. He's like the one glaring weakness we have on defense at the second cornerback position, because I trust everyone else. I trust Malik Muhammad. I trust Michael Tapp. I trust Jelani McDonald. I trust the linebackers. I trust the edges. Jalen Gilbo is the weakness. So it would not shock me if Georgia tries to exploit him in this game. And yes, he was the guy that messed that up, because if he blocks one guy, we win that football game. And he decided to celebrate.
He's just running, and then Lawson Lucky made that tackle. But I watched that game on replay, and it still blows my mind every time when Dalen Everett gets the pick. What is there, like 2.5 minutes left? I'm like, we just got a pick on like the 25-yard line or something, and this game's gonna go to overtime. What is happening? But yeah, that was a wild game a year ago. Anything else? I know we got to let you get out of here. Texas, voice of college football, Texas Longhorns live. You guys are going live here at 8 o'clock Eastern time. But anything else you want to say before you get out of here, Matthew?
No, I'm just interested in this game. I'm excited to watch it on TV. I wish I could be there in person. I did look at tickets like preseason, just see what they cost, and they've come down quite a bit. I think they were like $500 or $600 preseason. They're down to like $250, $300 now, but I expect a really crazy football environment. I think it's a fun place to play a football game, and we'll see how they do. I will say this though. What are your guys' predictions? You guys have any predictions of the game, like score-wise?
Oh yeah. I'll tackle that one first. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, just because when Georgia and Texas get together, that's usually what happens. I think both of these teams are really going to struggle to run the ball, but I kind of think that Georgia's offense is just they've just got so many of these running backs. You know, they're 4 or 5 deep at running back, and they can pound the ball over the whole course of a game because of that. And their offensive line is finally starting to be healthy. They finally got a consistent 5 guys, knock on wood, that they trust to go out there. So I kind of think that's going to be the big deal, or the big thing in this game. I don't know how much Georgia really trusts its defense. I think you kind of saw the Ole Miss game, how much they were really emphasizing dominating time of possession. I think they kind of they want to play keep away. That's what they want to do. They want to play keep away, and then on defense, they just kind of want to suffocate you and put you in tough situations and kind of let you beat yourself. So Texas, crazy run defense. We haven't really talked about this guy much, but Anthony Hill is like one of my favorite players in the entire country. He's a monster. You cannot run the ball against him, and I think it's going to be really tough for Georgia too. But I just think Georgia at home is just too good, and this team has so many different ways they can beat you. You know, they can pound the ball, or they can go in 12, 13 personnel. You might get a few plays on Saturday where it's Oscar Delp, Lawson Lucky, and Elias Williams all on the field, and good luck. You know, you're going to have to have your big boys on the field to stop that. So I trust Georgia a little bit more to win this kind of game, but I do think Texas is going to make it interesting. So I'll go 20-16, Georgia.
Yeah, I think this game has some blowout potential, to be honest. If Georgia can run the ball, I think that's a scenario where like they can put up 35 plus or something on this Texas defense. And I don't think Texas can score like Georgia in a shootout. But that's the potential. If Georgia can run the ball, I think there's a scenario where they can blow out Texas. But you look at the stats right there. This is a team that's given up 90 yards a game, 2.5 yards a carry against Power 4 competition this year. And I don't trust that they're going to be able to run the ball the way they did against Alabama or a Tennessee, or definitely not against Mississippi State going for 300. So I think one thing I'll guarantee about this game is Texas is going about 12 plays, 75 yards on their opening possession, and it's going to look easy, and they're going to have like 3 or 4 third down conversions, because that seems to be what teams do on the first drive of the game against Georgia. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a 4-quarter game. And I think Georgia, I think it's under 30. I think maybe like you, Bo, a little low scoring, but I'll say Georgia wins this 27-20. So that's covering, right? We had 6.5, I think is the latest I saw.
That's covering.
What are your thoughts, Matthew?
I'm kind of on the same boat with you, Matt. I think it's 24-20 you guys. I think you guys are going to win the football game. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think the home environment's going to carry you over the edge, and you probably will be able to run the ball a little bit more. I mean, Texas has not been able to run the ball outside of the Oklahoma game at all, which was shocking to me because Oklahoma's a really, really good front four. That was like the one game we could run the ball with Trey Wisner. But these guys haven't been healthy. The offensive line hasn't played good. And I don't really expect that much from the running game. And I don't trust, if Archman has to throw 40 times, he's probably going to throw an interception or a fumble in this game. So I do think you guys are going to win like 24-20. That's my prediction.
All right, good stuff. Well, Matthew, I appreciate you joining. I know you got places to be. It's just gonna be a fun week. Georgia, Texas, top 10 matchup. Not game day material though. Game day is Pittsburgh, Notre Dame, I think. But yeah, I appreciate you joining, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, that was good stuff. Our guy Matthew Miller with the Texas Voice of College Football. You want to hear some stuff about them? They're going live here in a minute. I'll be jumping on there in about an hour or so, 45 minutes or so. Seed Vision chiming in here in the live chat. Nice show. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate you watching Seed Vision. We got Brock Bowers in the photo right there. Always a good decision.
That's the Kentucky game. He went crazy.
Oh, is that right? You knew that off the top? That's the one they scored like 50?
I remember he scored. He did that. You can also see a Kentucky guy in the background.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That Arian Smith in that photo?
Believe so.
Okay.
Shout out to Arian.
Yeah, shout out to Arian Smith. Did I see him getting in a game with the Jets?
Yes. He had a nice he got a first down on like a little jet sweep last week. It was cool. He got fired up. I like to see that.
There we go. Arian Smith. Dude can run fast. If you can get him the ball and he can run straight, that dude, he can make some plays.
Yes, sir.
Anything else you want to add, sir? We got our score predictions in there.
Yeah, we already did. I think we've said mostly it all, but I'm really excited to just watch some physical football on Saturday. I really love when two just nasty run defenses get together because I think it just kind of forces you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and really try to find some other ways to win other than, just running the ball and controlling the clock, which is what everybody really wants to do at the end of the day, right? So, yeah, I mean, these teams gave us two of the more, I guess the first game was just crazy. It was a blowout, but it still was a wild game. And then obviously the second SEC championship, that was an instant classic in overtime. So I'm expecting some more cinema on Saturday, and I'm excited. I'm 50-50. Me and my buddy are thinking about buying tickets, but we're not 100% decided yet. But
okay,
I kind of really want to. I really want to go, so I think I probably will end up going somehow. But yeah, man. Super stoked for this one. I think it should be a good game. I'm glad that this is I was kind of worried once we got late September, early October. I was like, man, is Texas just going to have 3 or 4 losses coming into this game? It's going to be unranked. No one's going to care about it. But nope, here they are back in the top 10 and we're back. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's something about you do not want to play a team this talented, when their season's not going well. It's it's almost a lose-lose situation,
Yeah. It's what happens with Florida every year.
Yeah, honestly,
every year 70% of their team is 4 stars and 5 stars, and then you struggle against them. It's we suck. They're 3 and 4, but it's
yeah, I swear they get up. People might not believe me, but I just knew Kentucky was going to beat Florida. It was a 100% vibes based pick. It was just they get up differently for the Georgia game, and then they also, it feels like it takes the wind out of their sails doubly too. It's they put so much into that Georgia game. When they lose, it snowballs. But for those wondering, our preseason predictions in this game, you had Alabama as the one loss of Georgia's season and had a 26-24 victory as your prediction for the Texas game.
Okay,
so that would not be covering the folk, but Ironically
have them
enough,
covering now.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's fair. Wait, no, yeah, you did. You said like 20.
I said 20-16.
Oh,
That's
20-16. Okay.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I didn't even look at this. I picked the opposite score of what I predicted preseason. So I said 27-20, Texas in the preseason, but
okay.
now I'm going 27-20 Georgia. So,
4-point swing.
yeah. So, and that probably, I feel like there's been a 14-point swing kind of for what the expectations were of these two teams coming into the year. I thought maybe this might be the number one team in the country coming into Athens when we talked preseason.
They were the preseason national champions. We were hearing, why even play the season? Just hand them the trophy now. But now, I mean, this is a huge game for them. I think one thing we didn't talk about enough with Matthew is like Georgia's going to get up for this game and want to win. No one's saying that like they're not, but Georgia can kind of afford to lose this game. Obviously, they'd be eliminated from the SEC championship completely, but their playoff hopes would still be in pretty good shape long as they take care of Tech. But Texas has to like win out. Like they got to beat Georgia and beat A&M. And so they're playing for their season.
That's a good call because Georgia's kind of had that dynamic now 3 times in these big top 10 matchups at home this year. The Alabama game, Alabama definitely needed that game more than Georgia at that time of the season. You get to Ole Miss, Georgia. Georgia definitely needed that game more than Ole Miss did at that time of the season. And now, if that's any pattern, Texas definitely needs this game more than Georgia does. Yeah. I'm hoping we can buck that trend, and the team that needs it more doesn't actually win this one. But
yeah. And the way that I kind of feel about that is I think teams that are coached by Kirby Smart are just kind of immune to that whole idea of like they need it more than we do or we need it more than they do. Like that's stuff that like we talk about, but I don't think they talk about that stuff. So I don't think it's going to affect them as much. But I think, Texas is going to play probably the hardest they played all year. And I think they're going to come out looking pretty good. Everybody does come out looking pretty good against Georgia to start the game. So, yeah, it should be a battle, man. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't just super stoked for this, dude. I can't wait.
Absolutely. And I haven't even looked at the price of tickets, actually. I've gone to 2 games now this year, so I don't know that I'll pull the trigger on a third, but this is definitely going to be an insane atmosphere. Seed Vision chime in here again. There are benefits in not playing in the SEC championship game. There absolutely are. We actually talked about that about a week ago. But Texas has to win this or their season. Their season is absolutely, I think it's over. I mean, I think even 9-3, if you were to beat A&M late in the season, obviously that would be a huge win to like boost you up there at the end. But I don't know that 9-3 Texas can get in. And we can get into it next week or something. There's some wacky SEC scenarios of like 7 teams being 10-2 or so by the end of the year. Like it could get a little wild.
Yeah, they added too many teams to that conference, man, and now they're facing the consequences. What if the SEC just had a 4-team playoff? Could you imagine?
I mean, we're almost there. I mean, that's what football is going to be at some point, right? Everyone's in the SEC or the Big Ten.
A decade from now, they're just going to get rid of the regular season and just make it a season-long tournament. And if you lose week 1, you don't play the rest of the year.
Yeah, that might not make everybody happy. I don't know. We'll have to revisit that.
Nothing they do now makes anybody happy. So
that's fair.
Except for the suits.
Yeah, like you got Oklahoma, Alabama this weekend. I think that's the only other big game this weekend, right? We usually touch on the rest of the games. What are the other? I didn't have it pulled up, to be honest. Tennessee, they have a cupcake again.
They've got New Mexico State. The
worst schedule ever, by the way. Bye week and then a cupcake. Like, what are you doing with your schedule making over there?
Yeah, the only other big SEC game this week is Oklahoma, Alabama. You've got South Carolina playing A&M at noon. You've got Arkansas going to LSU.
The Golden Boot action.
Yeah. And then the nighttime SEC game that nobody look at is Mississippi State, Missouri. And then, Florida's going to Ole Miss. That game could get weird. I don't know how. I just feel like it might.
No, that's fair. I mean, Ole Miss did not miss the playoffs a year ago because of losing to the best teams on their schedule. They missed the playoff because they didn't beat those very beatable teams, and Florida was definitely one of them.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Florida's coming off a really bad tasting loss, so we'll see what Billy Gonzalez has cooking for Lane.
Absolutely. Well, that's all I got, sir. I appreciate everyone who's tuning in live, everyone who's watching online. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel and all that stuff. Anything else from you, sir?
That's all I got.
Also, one last shout out to the damn good dog, Matthew Stafford. Just absolutely balling this year. What is he? 20 touchdowns, no picks in the last 6 games.
Matthew Stafford is my favorite football player of all time.
Hey, Stafford. No argument here, sir.
Fan, so, yeah, he's killing it this year, man. My boy is probably top 5 for MVP right now. I know Drake May is the story of the season so far, and rightfully so. But Stafford getting his first ever MVP at 37 years old or however old he is nowadays, that would be awesome, and it would make me really happy. So, shout out to Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, for sure, man. He doesn't have that that MVP season that Matt Ryan had the 1 year, you know, that's just an insane season.
Hey, Stafford has a 5,000-yard passing season to his name in 2011.
Well, I guess you're right. You corrected me, sir, because no one cared when he's putting up those. No one cared when he's putting up those stats against when the Lions were losing a bunch of games. Although they made a couple playoffs.
The Lions went 10-6 that year. They made the playoffs.
Fair enough. I'm glad you. I'm glad you corrected the record, but yeah, that's honestly one of my probably the best sports take, and maybe it's just a biased sports take. My most validated sports take of all time. I just yelled from the top of a mountain for years, just this dude is a franchise quarterback, right? You put him on a team that's got everything around him, he can win a Super Bowl.
You have no idea.
And he finally did.
I spent 10 years telling everyone that. All my friends didn't believe me. They're like, Matthew Stafford's trash. I'm like, guys, no. It's not his fault the Lions always lose. It's literally he's the only good player. After Calvin Johnson retired, especially, man, it was some dark days. Matthew Stafford was going crazy every week, and it didn't matter. The Lions would just lose. Second he gets out of Detroit, wins the Super Bowl, and now Detroit's doing very well themselves. So,
but it was good for
everybody ended up happy. But yeah, man, I was also. My big Stafford agenda finally got validated in 2021. It was a beautiful day.
Absolutely, man. And he's 9th all time now in touchdowns. I think if he at least plays one more year, he's gonna guaranteed be 6th all time. Yeah, if he wanted to play 5 more years, maybe he could get up there. But yeah, dude's it's I don't know if you know this. We're going way back, and I don't even know the exact players involved, but. The Detroit Tigers traded John Smoltz in 1988 or 89 or something. It's one of those all-time great trades too. Yeah. That everybody got what they wanted. The Tigers, the guy they traded for, they won a World Series and everything was good. And the Braves got the long-term guy in Smoltz. That Detroit, that Goff Stafford trade is an all-timer for sure.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's hard to believe how much both teams have benefited from that. Lions just got to get themselves a Lombardi now. And then it's really going to be the greatest trade ever.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully Stafford can get one more, before he gets out of here. I don't know. I don't know how much longer this guy's going to play either. He's playing his best football right now. Yeah, but he could also retire next year, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he's playing so well, but also his body has just been completely broken down. I mean, we've kind of forgotten about this now because he's had such a great season. But entering the year, no one saw him for 3 weeks. He was injured and just wasn't showing up anywhere. The media had no idea where he was. Media thought he was dead. I mean, we didn't know if he was going to play at all. We didn't know how he was going to look once he did. But McVay kept insisting, no, he's going to play. He's going to figure it out. And then now he's coming out there tearing it up. So I don't think he has more than a couple. If he plays. If he's still playing in 2027, I'll be really surprised. But also, he's such a psycho and such a maniacal competitor that he'll probably play till he is literally forced to not. So
yeah, because Matt Ryan was that 1 year ahead of him or 2 years? So Ryan was
Ryan was drafted in 08, right before
he was the 09 draft.
Yeah.
and then Bradford was 2010, and then they're like, okay, we're paying these rookies way too much money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I know Nakua was having a big time year at one point. I hope Nakua can somehow finish top 3 in yards all time.
Oh, he probably will. He only missed one game with that injury. He came back, was good last week.
Because because if Puka Nakua can get up there and Stafford can be the quarterback of the number 1, 2, and 3 receiving yard seasons, history, like, I mean, put him in the Hall of Fame right now.
Pretty awesome. That's pretty sick.
Absolutely.
Jackson Smith and Jigba for Seattle might end up breaking the record this year, so we'll see. But Puka also was on a torrid pace before he got injured, but he only ended up missing one game and he came back, so he could end up getting it again.
Yeah, you also got Devontae Adams stealing some targets and stuff too, but that's enough NFL talk. We kept it Georgia centric, but yeah, that's all I got, man. I appreciate everyone who's tuning in, everyone who's watching live, and as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.